Welcome back to Tanya in 5. Today, we recap letter 14 in book 4 of Tanya, Iggeret HaKodesh. This letter, to me, is one of the most revolutionary ideas that Hasidus brings to Jewish practice and observance and philosophy. In essence, the letter is really another appeal to charity. Specifically, the Alter Rebbe enjoins his Hasidim to renew their enthusiasm for supporting the Hasidim who made Aliyah, who emigrated to Israel. The nature of things are such that when projects begin, people are excited, but as time goes on, that excitement fades. So the Alter Rebbe is appealing to his followers to reinvigorate them, that they get excited again about giving to charity in general and to those living in Israel in particular. And he appeals to us to renew our excitement by explaining the following. Every year on Rosh Hashanah, and the new year, God invests from his infinite energy a finite amount of energy to last for the coming year. Enough energy to keep the entire creation in operation for another year. That energy first descends into a spiritual world, from there to the land of Israel, and then from there to the rest of the world. At the end of the year, just on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the energy God invested at the beginning of the year reverts back to its source, the divine infinite reservoir of energy. And then, for the next year, with the blowing of the shofar, God invests energy again for the coming year. And so on and so forth. Every year, on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, last year's energy reverts back to its source, to God, and with the blowing of the shofar, we elicit the new energy for the coming year. Now, in addition to this renewal, there's another element here. God is infinite. And as infinite goes, there's never a point at which you can't go higher. There's always higher. There's always deeper. And therefore, when at the beginning of the year, God invests energy for the coming year, that energy is at a higher level than the energy from the year before. Think about that. Every year on Rosh Hashanah, we elicit from God energy to be invested in this world on a level that has never been elicited before. And every single year, the level increases. And because every year, the divine energy that God invests in creation is on a higher level, therefore our service of God must also increase, must be renewed, reinvigorated on a higher level. Just as the divine energy invested in creation is reinvigorated to a higher level. But as mentioned, this divine energy begins first in the spiritual world, then to the land of Israel, and then to the rest of the world. And it is possible that the divine energy that God invests for the coming year remain in the spiritual in order to draw it down from the spiritual state into our physical world. That's where the service of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah comes in, the 10 days of repentance, the time between the high holidays, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. When we serve God there, and specifically with charity, we elicit that the energy God invested for this year, that is higher than it's ever been done before, should be drawn down not just in the spiritual realm, but into our physical reality. Now, the takeaway from all of this is, and here is where I get to why I think this is such a central tenet in Hasidic philosophy. You see, without Hasidus, Judaism is a tradition. Now, a tradition means that my job is to maintain that which was. In generations bygone, they had Judaism much deeper than me. But I want to make sure I'm not the end of the line, and therefore I'm going to do everything I can to keep this thing going for the next generation. This is a beautiful way to serve God. It's a very valuable mission to want to maintain our traditions, to keep that which our ancestors lived and died for, to keep that on and make sure that the end of the line is not with us, and then it goes to the next generation. But comes Hasidus and says a whole nother way of thinking about it. We don't just maintain what was. We build on what was. Everything the previous generations did and accomplished exists, and our job is to push the ball 1 inch forward. Not just to maintain, but to grow. We take everything that was and we build forward. And therefore the Judaism of today is richer, deeper, and greater than it ever was before, because we have all of the previous accomplishments plus our own accomplishment. From this perspective, Judaism becomes a forward-looking way of life. We're building towards somewhere. We're getting the world closer to something. We're not just maintaining a connection that our ancestors had to God, and we're trying to maintain that connection, but we're actually building to a deeper and deeper connection to God. And every year, we renew our enthusiasm and our dedication to God, and we make the world itself closer to God, and we're building towards something. This is what it means to live with the Messianic era. The Messianic era is a time when the entire world gets heightened to the place of God consciousness. We are fully in one and in sync with divine energy and light. And it's our job to build toward that. And everything we do is with that feeling and knowledge that what I'm doing now in my connection to God and my Torah and mitzvahs is not just to maintain what was, but to build toward where we are going. We're going toward a perfected world. We're going toward a godly world. And everything we do is to build in that direction. Serving God through this lens changes everything. Every day and every year, we wake up with renewed and reinvigorated enthusiasm to push the ball forward. Looking forward to seeing you when we conclude Letter 15.